Okay, we are returning, and when we are returning, we are having some nice. Breaks are quite uneven when Sunday warm-up has 1,000,000 tables remaining and this one has one, so. And when we have just one in here, we are going to get the break started pretty much instantly, and on Sunday million it's going to take longer. And so we are having 10 tables and we are having a lot of endgame stuff going on. In the $22 big antes we are having only 15 places paid, but we are in the final 40 people, and here we are having another bubble. Now we are trying to make up what we are going to do with a short stack in the bubble, and it's going to be a bit counterintuitive because we are not going to wait for the money, we are going to fight. And even at 450, that's going to be, or that isn't going to be crappy, that is crappy. Against the UA Stone, he's a reggae player, and with the 450 we are getting it in. We are having flush draw, we are having 2 overcards, and we are having like draw of the draws. And on Christian CJ, how did this happen? He shoved 11 big blinds, not a biggie, but when he outdraw us, that wasn't the best of luck for us. Korpistry hot sour, best medicine for a really bad hangover. The best medicine for a really bad hangover is to just stay in the bed, shake, and try to be as miserable as you can be. And try to hide away from it, because if it doesn't know you are there, perhaps it will leave you alone. But when the hangover starts to be manageable, then getting hot chocolate and some pain medication, it's going to be a day after that. We lost one table. I think we might have lost another table as well. And that's something that. And we are having an open-ender again. We're actually having pretty nice odds to just go for it when there are already 3k in the pot, and then there is 1k more for him. And we are going to give him a bit more opportunity to shove it when we are having a good hand, but we are not having a great hand. And I'm thinking we are getting more his way, and he had the exactly same hand than we did. If we would have checked the river, I would have bet, because we are still having the top pair there.
Luckily he didn't have a bigger kicker, because there were so many small cards on the table. So Sauera is ordering one nice hangover for tomorrow.
I think you should be ordering a fun night, not the hangover. The hangover is the result, but you are not doing it for the sake of the hangover. This is going to be really WTF. I have no idea what he has. Like, I'm confused. He bet so little on the turn that he should have draws in there as well, that he's firing a blocker bet there. but he shouldn't have top pairs that much. There are some top pairs because he's playing with a tablet, and I don't know if he's even knowing what the buttons mean because he's playing with a tablet, but it sometimes makes the people really hard to read. And Korpisri, what kind of thoughts do you have about the 180 man, the player levels? I think that the player levels are, like the $15 games are going to be the hardest, and they are pretty much as hard as the $8 games. And the 353 bytes are probably the easiest game, and they are the game that you can reap the highest edges from. So, and they are pretty much in the middle between 8s and 15s by what's it resulting to be in the price pool wise. So we are getting a gut shot. The table just gets worse for us, but they have both checked. So this is like an opportunity makes a thief. I'm not having much showdown equity. I'm having, like, if there would be a 10, it would be really nice. If there would be a queen, that's still nice. And when he checks twice and calls, I don't think that he's going to have a jackpot. Well, he had an 8. How can you get there with a king 8?
But he checked the flop and then called your
turn. I thought that when all of the guys they have twice checked to me, and Sunday warm up. It's going to be a harsh spot. I was thinking about 4-betting with ace king suited there, and I think I'm going to get it in. I'm just in a bad shape if there is a queen, but I don't think it's going to be that likely.
River is a friend. Aarnimetsa is asking about king 10 suited.
And Vernon Bax, could you talk what table it was from? Because we are having quite a few tables, so
I can't remember it either at the moment.
But I think Korpisaturi has a funny question on the 180 man player levels, because I think those are the closest levels by how the players are, and like I don't think even the $60 180 mans are much tougher than like the $8 freeze outs. That's when they start getting tougher, and the two $50 freeze outs, they are easy as cake. But and for Korpisaturi, if you are having a long time to play, the $11 progressive knockouts, they are heavenly soft. They are a really good game to take to your sets.
That hand was on top left, so it was one of those 4 tables.
It was one of those 4 tables, but I'm folding and open from late position, folded like 8 bb shove. I shouldn't probably have done it, so I'm thinking that you are probably right that I shouldn't fold king 10 suited there. And because I shouldn't fold king 10 suited for 8 big blind shove ever, because if he's shoving, I'm always having decent outs and I'm always having decent equity, even if he's having a tight range. So that has probably been a mistake if I have done that. I'm checking if I can find the king 10 suited from my latest hands for today. It depends. We should look at, and now we are having it Achilles. We are having nicer stacks. Even if he's opening from UTG, Ace King suited is going to be nice, and Ace 8 suited. Really?
That's so weak. Yeah, we have quite a few tables still on the top left stack, so that's why it's not that simple to find it on based on that, unfortunately. Usually it's a lot simpler because we have only 4 tables running at the same time on that main screen, but today it's a different story because we started on a faster move.
It's Sunday warm-up. Without position, Ace-9 off isn't going to be nice, but Ace-9 suited I would have called and seen if I'm going to hit the flop in a nice way. I'm trying to find out the King-10 suited hand here. Yeah. This looks like it, and the opponent had 12 big blinds, and it's a bit different. It's a bit different then, but against 8 big blinds, it's always a mistake.
Maybe you can show the hand again on the main screen.
So it was a slightly different spot, but against 8 big blinds, it would be always a mistake. So, and don't shut up. You can comment, and we are trying to do our best. It just takes us more time to find the hands when we are having more tables. And we are just having 5 tables now, so we are going to improve on that because we are only having 2 tables there, 2 turbo knockouts. And I think that if we are going to do more end game focused coaching, we are probably going to look if we are going to find some nice hypers or getting a set of turbo 180 man still, so that we are going to get a bit of length to this.
And Korpisoturi, you are right about that it's really weird to see that spoovy moves on that big of a game, but I think it's mainly because there are so many satellites to those Sunday Millions, Sunday Warms-ups, that's why there is lots of value still, even though it's $215 game, but it still surprises me every single time.
Yeah, for the games that are over $100, I'm only playing the Sunday warm-ups, the biggers that are having a lot of satellites, because I think on those games I'm having more edge against the opponents. So because there are going to be players that are doing stupid stuff. Would you call that 10 big blinds shoving big antes MTT with king jack off if you know that opponent is a good reg? Yes. But when I don't know about it, actually if I look at his stats right now, I probably should have called. And with big antes it's even better to call. 6s is too weak. I don't want to be ISO shoving here. I don't want to be calling here. I think that 6s are too weak in that spot, even if he's having a wide range, because there are opponents behind us that we are having huge stacks with.
And no worries, Vernon Backs, it's good to bring up those pots because then we can go through them and see what really happened and just make sure that we didn't do any mistakes or miships or anything else.
Yeah, because I'm doing mistakes with my poker game, I'm having leaks, so I don't play perfectly. And it's always good to ask because I might have a different answer on how to play the hand than I really played it.
So sometimes it really is that you should hear him out and listen to advice how to play and not just to see how he really is playing. But
that's money. No.
Come on, you say not a single word before the river. I think we agreed that last time.
Well,
Next time.
It happens, I think.
Yeah, sure does. So now we have only 4 tables left, so it's easier to point out at least before Aarnimetsa finds another table to mess up with your head.
Yeah, I'm thinking about the Hutter 75 Turbo. Nah, I'm taking the Hypers, but I'm not taking the Hutter. I think that the Hutter is going to be... It's going to be too long because we are both tired. We have woken up today early, so we are not going to be up that much more. But I think we can do something with Hypers, so I'm opening pretty much all the Hypers that are starting.
And I even woke up in a different country. Think about that.
Yeah. And it was still a question mark. Are you even going to make it to this coaching? Are you going to make it? And you did. So last time you were injured, but you still did make the coaching, and now you were in a different country and you still did make the coaching. So
it just means that you cannot get rid of me easily. I'm here to stick with you guys.
Really interesting against the Ox here. But he 3x opens with the big antes, and I'm not sure about what to make of it. I'm not putting him on a strong range there, but now that there's so much money in play that even shoving starts to get more interested. I'm not going to bust the Sunday warm-up. If I'm going to stay awake because the Sunday warm-up goes to the end, well, let it be. But if I'm going to then more just increase the amount of tables with some more 180 mans. And when Kashtane after us is calling, then we are screwed. And actually that's something that probably I should take a look later on. Just because of how much players are behind me. And we are, with the big antes, we are going to start a fight. And with the $11 game, someone asked how long does it take. And this is with the similar structure, this 450. And this will last between 4 and 4.5 hours, usually. But your average game length is going to be way less than that, because you are going to bust some... Even though you don't want to, you are going to bust some tables early on. And sorry, that's just the way of poker life is going. But like the worst case scenario would be 4 to 5 hours.
Worst.
Best case scenario, I think. And we are having nice spot here because we are having fold equity and we are having a lot of dead money in the pot.
Oh wow, you got lots of chips for free.
Yeah, I think the 7th spot is something that I need to check afterwards. And after I looked at it, I didn't like it that much either, but 7th, it's quite the pivot point for me there. And I was slightly confused when the guy opened with a larger sizing from UTG on what he's trying to achieve. And now we are running good at the 540, so that's good.
That is good. Let's hope that we can continue with that feeling. And we are. Awesome. So we are now back in the game.
Yeah, our stack did fall to a quite a low level, but we are back in the game, and we are, because most of the guys here are tight. I'm going to adjust in a way that I'm going to try to abuse the table, at least before the bubble.
So if you check the stack sizes, what do you think about calling 3-bet shoves?
I'm going to call Vovochin, and that's the only guy that I'm going to be calling. And if I'm looking at the stack sizes, I'm also seeing that they are having all pretty much the perfect opportunity to re-steal me. So if the guys would be aware of the spot they are in, and they are looking at, there is some maniac supernova that plays 40% of their hands, they should be 3-betting me a lot. But that's one of those spots that, even though people should be 3-betting me, and if I would be in their place, I would be 3-betting this guy a lot. But when in reality they aren't 3-betting me a lot, then I'm going to min open a lot and trying to abuse it to the best of my ability. I'm not going to be playing Sunday Million today, and that's just because we are trying to keep this short. And even this Sunday warm-up, if this goes for a long time, it's going to mean that it's going to be interesting, and it's going to be good money if we are going far in that.
So there's 540 places paid, and there's still almost 1,300 players left. So it might take a while.
But I think we have started with something like 4,000 players.
And it has been running for 3.5 hours.
3.7k players. But actually, now that we are having a lot less tables, we can talk some hockey.
Maybe I should take a rain check and go and see some news, for example.
It was quite bad that Finland isn't going to be playing Filppula and Koivu in the Olympics, or neither Koivu. But I think it's going to be manageable, because it's the injuries are on the spot that Finland has the most width in. So even now we lost 2 centers, and even after losing 2 centers, I think that we are still having 7 players that can play center that are going to be in the games. So, and whatever happens, Finland would always have to have centers that are playing as wingers, because we are not having good wingers, but we are having a lot of decent centers. And actually, it's now interesting to see all the other countries, because I think Sweden is losing a lot when Henrik Sedin got injured, and the Sedins together, they are lethal on the power play. They can win games for Sweden, but just one Sedin, Daniel Sedin, is a great player, but he's not that much of a weapon without Henrik. So, because I think one part of their game is that they are playing pretty perfectly together. And I think most interesting injury is going to be Team Canada when Steven Stamkos isn't going to play in the Olympics, because I think that even Steven Stamkos, that's one of the best players in the game and is probably the best shot in the game. And I think that Canada got stronger after Steven Stamkos was left out and Martin St. Louis gets in, because Martin St. Louis is a player that I have wanted to see on a big ice for a long time. I think he's going to be perfect there because he's smart, he's quick, he's good at making space, and I think he's going to be worse in NHL than in the... He's generally, I think, worse suited to NHL style of play, and he's still a really, really good NHL player, but I think Martin St. Louis is going to be even better on the large ice. So that's something that's interesting, but that's also showing that Canada is having incredible width because they are losing one of the best players in the game, and I think that the team just gets better, and that's pretty insane. I would want to call, but there are like no good turns for me on the big antes. Like zero.
Not even ace.
Ace would be a good turn, but there are just 3 aces in the deck.
And he's just calling pre-flop with ace queen, so you need to be really afraid of that, or not afraid but beware of that.
Would you like to bet on the Canada versus Finnish game? That's something that, because I don't think that Finns are having that great of a chance against Canada, and they are having better chances in the first games that they are playing against each other, but I don't still think that they are having that good chance against Team Canada, because the Team Canada is an insane team, and I think now it's even more clear that Team Canada is going to be the number one on paper, because for Sweden losing Henrik Sedin is one of the worst, or probably it's the worst injury there can be, losing either one of the Sedins.
So Vernon Bax is talking about odds and Korpisoturi, so maybe you too should do some kind of gameplay there.
Yeah, you can start a bet thread on the Insiders forum. And Korpisoturi says that Olli Jokinen is Finnish center number 1. And I think that's really interesting that Olli Jokinen is going to be the center number 1, because there was some discussion before the game that should Olli Jokinen even be included, and I thought that he's going to be included and he's going to be good when he's included, and now he's going to be the number 1 centerman for Team Finland, and that's kind of insane for a player that people were arguing should he even be in or not. And Korpisoturi was saying that the Finland versus Canada game on the women's ice hockey, Finland has 21 in multiplier, and that is so low that can't even bet for fun. And I think they win this game less than 1 out of 100 games. The women's hockey it's not even fun against the 2 big countries. I think the top group that includes now the bronze medal winner Switzerland from the last World Championships, the 4th place Finland, and I think it was the 1st place for USA and 2nd place for Canada. And the differences are just so huge. Like Switzerland lost shots against women's team Canada something like 1369, and that's insane. Like the team is probably somewhere around third or fourth best women's ice hockey team, and they are playing against second best, and the difference is more than, I think it's more than there is a difference between an NHL team and ECHL team. Like an NHL team could probably play 2 leagues down and it wouldn't be that uneven.
There is a familiar face you're playing against with.
Yeah, I think that you'll notice the Hotcheny 304, 314.
Yeah.
And Jones, very few understand how much variance there is in the hockey tournaments when playoffs are played in with the best of one format. I think you are exactly correct, and that's a good way to put it, because if you are, even if you are the Team Canada, you are, when the quarterfinals are, I think Team Canada is probably somewhere around 85% likely to win it, because they are playing against one of the weaker countries, probably the 7th or 8th best country there. But on the semifinals and finals, if you are winning 56% or 57%, you are having an edge on the opposition, but still, even though you have an edge on the opposition, you are still going to win it quite a few times. Even though you are on the top 3, you are still winning it like 1 in 3. And Vernon Bax now put an interesting comment on the Justin TV's chat that women's hockey is huge in Canada and the USA because they have to give equal number of scholarships to men and women in these sports. So more women play in North America because of this. I think that's really interesting to know, because I didn't know that there is that kind of, like, it's some gender equality statement that they need to do. But that's really interesting to hear that there are so many more women playing hockey, because they are probably getting an easier scholarships because of that. And something like, I think even the Finnish women's hockey team, I think it says something that for the women's hockey team, I think the youngest players that are playing the World Championships are like 14 or 15 years old. And now even the Riikka Välilä, that's probably the best female hockey player of Finland of all time. She has not played in 12 years, and this season she made a comeback and she's now playing in Sochi in the Finnish national team. And that's something that you shouldn't be a national team player after being out of the sport for 10 or more years.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, even he has some bigger stacks behind, so that will make sense even with hands that aren't nuts. So I think we are getting enough that we can 4-bet this, and now we found the nuts. But we are having 2 hypers here, so we are having some interesting games still. And with the Sunday warm-up, I think we are playing some turbos. I'm now playing one set that there will be 4 turbos, I think. 4 turbos that have started. Actually, I could increase that to 7. but I think like the women's hockey, it's going to be a more North American thing, and it's going to be exciting to see Canada play against USA, and it's going to be interesting to see if Finns are going to win the bronze medal in there. But Finns are having way better chance to win the bronze medal in women's ice hockey than in men's ice hockey.
Which games comes first? The ladies or...
Yeah, the ladies are playing right now.
Ah.
So when I was getting here from Finland yesterday, I think they showed the Finland USA A match on board of the ship, and it was horrible to watch. Like, Finland pretty much didn't have a chance on the game against USA, but they still had a way better chance than Switzerland against Team Canada, and that's... So there are going to be interesting matchup in the women's hockey, but like 1-2, they are way higher than in the men's ice hockey. Yeah, Finns only lost 3-1, but I think the Finnish goalie did really well on that matchup, and Noora Räty has actually played a long time in the United States university hockey, and I think she's going to return to the United States university hockey as a goalie coach or something for the next season. And I think she was pretty good at the women's university series in the US. So it might be that Finland is a goalie factory even for the female ice hockey.
So we like to defend our own private property, in the other words.
And Galeon asked, hi, money pouring in so far? Nope. When we are playing MTTs, we are going to have to manage to get some wins. If we are not managing to get them wins, we are not getting any money. And we are having a nice stack in the Sunday warm-up, so that's something that will determine a lot on how this night will go. And we have had some nice stacks on other games as well, but we haven't had the best of runs in the final tables. We have had at least two final tables during the time, and multiple cashes.
Korpisatur is asking about the scholarship, that should they have those in Finland, that you could go into a university only based on your good results in sports. Do you have any opinions about that?
I think I might have an unpopular opinion about that. And that's going to be an interesting one, but I think that there should be athletes more in the Finnish university system. And I think that there should be athletes, but for a way different reason than usually. We are having showdown equity. We are...
Sorry. Didn't mean to.
It doesn't make any sense for him to do it with a king, but as he's slightly fishy. This is again a spot that I know that I feel there shouldn't be any kings if he would be a sensible player, but most likely he's not. And that makes that there are enough kings in his range, and even against the flush draw I'm not in the best of shape with the nines, so that was a tight fold and I didn't like it.
really weird move.
Yeah, betting 3 times the pot, that's something that's really high variance to call it there, because I'm never going to be far ahead. And even if he has an overcard and flush draw, he's going to be about 50-50. So, and most likely he's having more than one overcard. So
I think we will get a better spots later on. So it's not worth risking that much at that point.
But I read about some interesting research. I think it was the newest Malcolm Gladwell book, that people are having problems in the universities when they are the dumbest people in the room. And that's why the better the university, the better people are not getting through the university, because they are giving up in the middle of it. But there is something that makes it better, because the athletes are usually having something outside the school that they can be proud of, and they don't mind being the dumbest guys in the class. And I think that's probably going to be the best of it's going to be the basis of my opinion, that in the Finnish schools there should be athletes that are going to get in by the virtue of their athleticism, that there would be people that are there are people that are not achieving the best in classes, or in the classes that are making the regular guys that are not the smartest guy in the university classes, they are making them feel better, and they would be making those guys get through the university more than they are now getting through. And I think that's going to be an interesting point to discuss, if there is someone to discuss about it.
Before we discuss about it a bit more, maybe you could just quickly go back to that nines hand and show the pre-flop, how it went.
We opened and the other guy called.
I think there was something more, because there was somebody making an action before you. I think it was probably a call, and then you raised.
So was it a 3-way? There was a min raise and I 3-bet it. And after my 3-bet, the guy called and the original raiser folded. The original raiser folds, and I still think that we are going to be beat there too often for it to be profitable for us to go broke. Especially even after the guy just flat calls my 3-bet, he's going to have some kings and he's going to have flush draws in there.
Yeah, there should be lots of kings on his range based on the pre-flop action.
I think Korpisoturi is now forgetting something, that when he says that you should go to the University of Applied Sciences, that you could feel about the smarter guys in the class. But I don't think that's the problem, or I don't think that is going to be but even in those schools that you are thinking that it's going to be easy to be the smarter guys in the room, but there is always going to be those guys that are not the smartest guys in the room. And you might be feeling there that you are one of the smarter guys in the room, but still I'd think that if you are one of those guys that is in the University of Applied Sciences and they are feeling that it's too hard for them, I think those guys would benefit if there are athletes that are doing even worse in school than they are.
Can I disagree with your hand?
Yeah.
That the top left that you called. Why did you call?
Because we are so shallow there against there are a lot of antes in, and actually I might have misread that he has 5 big blinds still. I think we are having cards that are alive most of the time, and we are so short and we are having such large antes because it's a hyper. That's why I call it. I think that on that spot we were also a bit unlucky in a way that we got a dominating hand. And as Rodman said, that studying in a Finnish university is free, so giving out scholarships would be quite pointless. Yeah, but I think what Korpistor said earlier, that the athletes could get in without the normal exams.
Entrance exams.
Yeah, and that would make it. Now we are having a pivotal hand on the Sunday warm-up, I think.
You might be right.
I don't think that he will have much straights there, but I'm afraid of ace-jack or ace-10 a lot. But so I think that it would be good for the universities to have people that would be the worst students in the academic world, but are having something else that they are proud of in their life, like their athletic performance.
That's actually a really interesting point of view, because it's kind of like a win-win situation. If you think that it's good for the others, that they see that they are not the dumbest, even though they are not dumb, if that makes them depressed somehow. But anyway, when there are players who got in only based on the sport background, I don't like to say that they are not smart, but at least they have something to be proud of in a way. And of course they can be really smart as well, as on top of playing some kind of sports really well. I don't know. But then they might have some difficulties to go through the classes anyway, because if they are not interested in that much of studying and only for the sports, it would be really hard for the professors to let them go through, as I think that they have some kind of problems in USA with that they just have to sometimes see through fingers that they are not probably passing otherwise, but they are just getting them pass easier than the rest of the students.
But so I think that the American system that they are getting the athletes in would probably be good for at least some programs that are having the problems that when you are getting people in through hard entrance exams, you are getting the smartest people in, and on the smartest people, even if you are taking the top 2%, like you are taking top 2% smartest people, but if you are getting them to the same group, there are going to be those people that are dumber than the rest of the group, even though they would be really smart compared to the...
But then they should be smart enough to realize that even though they are not as smart as the rest of the people, it doesn't mean that they are dumb. Right?
We are making money because people aren't aware of how their brains work, and they are making stupid stuff because they are not wiring their brain in the right way for poker, and it's psychologically it's not a easy way, or it's not easy to see yourself in that way. If it's about who you are comparing yourself to. And I think like in the universities, the USA universities, like Harvard is one of the worst schools that people aren't getting through it, even though the guys should be plenty smart of going through it, because they are the smartest bunch of the US students. And even some state universities that are getting people in that even their best students couldn't get into Harvard, they are graduating larger portion of their students. So even though the smartest guys should know that they are still plenty smart compared to the rest of the people, but if every day what they see would be the other guys that are still smarter than they are getting depressed, and then they are not finishing their degrees. And then Vernon Back said that I know a lot of very good hockey players who dominated the junior leagues in Canada, but never got scholarships because they didn't try hard enough in school. Typically, the majority of the scholarships go to the smarter athletes. Even when the scholarships are going to the smarter athletes, I think then, even though the athletes are smarter, I think in general they are dumber than the rest of the population in a certain university. If you know what I mean, that the athletes are the smarter athletes in the athlete group, but they are still in the university group. They are most likely not the best students. And Rothman said that with the same logic, every sports team should take a smart humanist in their team. So there's always a worse player in team. It depends if the sports team are having problems. And actually we need only 40%. If there are antis, this is a snap call. It's actually so close that it's so close still.
Even though without antis.
Even without antis, when there is only 900 to call and we need something like 40%. Now we like got it in the worst shape we can get it because we were dominated. But like Rothman, in the sports, if the sports team would have problems that people are giving up sports because they are not the best players in the team, then it might make sense to take smart humanists in the team to be
bad athletes.
Bad athletes. But I think that's not the case, that people aren't staying, that should stay with the sports team aren't staying because they are the worst athletes in the team. So I don't think that would work out as well, but the school stuff is different in a way that it takes a long-term commitment, and the people that are in school, it might be the only thing that they are proud of, or what's happening in the young life at the point of life.
But it's a break time. Let's take a 5-minute break and quit this for a while.
But we'll be back, and you can use the chat, so we are having something to discuss after we come back.